Southeast Radio's morning mix. Chat, news and your views with Alan Corcoran.
A very good morning to you. It's just on 8 minutes past 10 as we welcome you to your Tuesday edition of Southeast Radio's morning mix with some positive breaking news through the county coming away just after 11. What else have we got lined up in the programme today? Well, as the UK plans to implement a full social media ban for under 16s, are there similar plans for here? The power of the men's sheds movement, 16 alone in County Wexford and plans for more. I just love when Minister Brown mentioned shovel in the ground. That means it's going to happen sooner rather than later. So it is a positive story. Let's have another one for you now. The Irish Men's Sheds Association are launching its new strategic plan for 2026 to 2030 next week. It sets out its vision for the future for one of the county's and country's most successful community movements. I'm joined by the association's communications officer, Ben Dolan, and it's a pleasure to link in with Ben on the programme today. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Alan, and thanks very much for having me on. It's great to be able to talk about men's sheds in this, which is Men's Health Week.
It is, of course, and you will be well aware that men's sheds are hugely popular in the county of Wexford.
Oh, absolutely, Alan. Sure, I'm just down the road in New Ross. You know, there's literally sheds in every corner of Wexford. You know, I think it's 16 sheds at the moment, and new ones are coming on all the time. Is that crow bothering you badly?
Not at all. We'll move on. We'll chat on. Look, before we get into the detail of what's coming up between now and 2030, there are huge advantages to men's sheds, and I know one of them is it reduces loneliness and social isolation. Before we look at what's happening over the next number of years, would you like to just share with us the advantages of men's sheds, please, Ben?
Oh, absolutely, Alan. Yeah, I mean, we talk about men's health and we talk about social isolation. It's actually baked into the men's shed as a movement. You know, they started some 30 years ago in Australia, really to combat rural isolation. So that aspect, that camaraderie, that social aspect is literally in the framework of the shed. And men find it sometimes quite difficult, you know, to maintain social connections, particularly as you get on in your life and you know, things change and you can spend a lot of time in work and raising a family, and you can find that your connections, that male friendships that you had when you were younger have kind of just gone away. So a shed is a wonderful community space, Alan. It's a place where any man can go and you know, socialise and engage in various activities. And there's loads of things going on, especially around the sheds in Wexford.
Yeah, I want to shatter one myth. There is this conception out there, or preconception out there, that to be part of a men's shed, you have to be very good with your hands. In other words, you're involved in manual work at some stage. That is not true. I mean, on my visits to sheds, there are people who were accountants, people who were in IT. Everyone is made welcome regardless of what you did on your career. Isn't that correct?
That's absolutely right, Alan. And another thing, like, it doesn't matter what your walk of life was, there will be a place for you in a shed. The other misconception that I want to address is that it's just for retired men. You know, it's not. We have members now. There's members from 30 up to 90 something. I think the oldest member has turned 100 in the country. So it's not just for older men, and it's for all men, no matter what you did before or what you did previously. There's a nice thing in sheds, Alan, is that you don't give up your other identity, but you gain a new identity as a shedder, as a member of a men's shed. And there's a camaraderie and a belonging in that as well, you know. Yeah,
look, the new strategic plan, looking ahead to 2030, what are the biggest ambitions for the movement over the next 5 years?
Look, it's been fantastic over the last 5. We've been, since COVID now, the movement got into some trouble in COVID because men couldn't go out and they couldn't get to the shed. It's growing again, membership's growing, and there's new sheds coming on all the time. There's now over 580 sheds in the Republic of Ireland. So look, for the new strategic plan, we're looking at different areas. There's the health aspect is a huge one. It's a huge one. In Men's Health Week, we encourage the shedders to go out and do a big walk and a talk. But the social health aspect is one of the biggest things about sheds. So that's one of the areas that we'll work on. Again, we've a health program called Sheds for Life, and that is a sort of a 10-week program where men can get health checks, and they do healthy food made easy and exercise programs. So that will be expanded again to reach new places around the country. There's the other elements I think that they might be interested in are things like the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. A lot of sheds are now involved in sustainable development and environmental projects. You know, that we have sheds looking at things like rhododendron culling down in Killarney and stuff like that. And it's again, Alan, to expand the membership over the next 5 years.
Perfect.
Into younger men as well, to have younger men coming into sheds so that the movement will continue.
Now, you've travelled to sheds around the county and around the country. Is there one story that would be a perfect example that captures the impact that they can have on somebody's life?
Oh, there is, God. I mean, look, the one that strikes me all the time, and I hear it a lot, is up and down in different, it doesn't matter where you are, rural, urban, but I've had men come to me and said, you know, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the shed. You know, that literally they've come from the brink and come back and found a space in the men's shed and found a happiness in the men's shed. There are different types of shed. Every shed you go to is nearly different, from lads down in a little 40-foot container down in Fairview in Cork, down out to the middle of nowhere, where there's sheds on Achill Island, on Bear Island. Yeah. So, you know, some of them do woodwork, some of them do horticulture, some of them just have the chats and play cards. Yeah. So there's something for everybody in men's sheds.
What about the funding and the premises and attracting new members? You've talked about how it's open to people who are still working and maybe feeling isolated, etc. When it comes to funding, how are you surviving, or how are you progressing?
Well, yeah, look, I mean, again, each shed is independent, so as they go on, they get funding from various sources. We've been really very lucky in the last few years in that we've gotten a sustainability grant from the Department of Rural and Community, which has meant that sheds have been able to access up to €3,000 for their running costs during the year. So that's been a real success in terms of sheds and the association. Yeah. And it really is. It makes the difference. That money makes the difference between, you know, opening the doors and keeping the lights on and paying for the insurance and all that stuff, you know.
We've Wexfordised it at the start. I want to Wexfordise it now as we conclude our chat with you and Ben this morning. And I think your crow behind you has been joined by some of his buddies, because I can hear a few in the background there. Fair play to you for battling on. If there's someone listening this morning who's feeling isolated or has recently retired, what would you say to encourage them to walk through the door of their local men's shed? And where can you find out the list of 16 in County Wexford, please?
So, yeah, the first thing to do, I suppose, is go on to the mensheds.ie. You'll find there's a shed finder, and you can go into your county. You'll find a list of them, the contact numbers for the sheds in the county, and give them a ring. You know, give them a ring, find out when they're open and what they're doing. And, you know, you go down for a cup of tea. You won't have the door shut on you in any shed, and see what it's about, really. But Alan, it's a question of just get out there. This week, as for Men's Health Week, we're doing walks all around the country. So if you go on our social medias, you'll see where those are, and that's an really easy way to just go out
yourself,
for a walk and a talk.
Good to talk to you, Ben. Keep in touch.
Alan, thanks very much, and have a good one.
South East Radio's Morning Mix, brought to you in association with Joyce's Expert, the new Dyson V8 Cyclone, Dyson's most powerful V8 ever, now with 30% more suction, available at Joyce's in-store or online, joyces.ie.
Chat.